Hello and welcome to the Handy Capable Black Woman Throne Room. My view of humanity is a whole new tea. Okay, get some tea out. Get for me. I love soda like peach or pineapple are my two favorite. I used to really like Fanta, but I'm hearing about their conservative Republican. Yeah, so it's like I've been looking and researching small business, especially by like black and people of color owned or disability owned soda brands, which I found some earlier this year, but life has been such a mess and everything to the point where I'm just like, oh, so with that research, I'm going to do a little bit more research to see if there are any other new ones and everything like that. And not all of them have to be within the minority bracket, but it's like a lot of times we don't get the same views. We don't get looked up. We don't get uh, we're not considered serious within our business, or people normally look for certain genes. Yeah, I went there. But anyway, so I'm going to be, and I want to do that for a lot of other topics, but especially since, it's like, oh, and I did find a way that I love tea recently, like tea and coffee, because yeah, I don't do that black coffee. No, no, no. It's like, but I'm finding out the way, yeah, the Thai do with the iced coffee, the Thai, it's wow, the coffee and the tea. So I'm gonna be looking up how to do it to see if I can, do it on my own. But yeah, it is delicious. So it's like when I sip some tea, or if I say I'm actually sipping tea, it will be that. Yes. But this episode's going to be a little interesting because, well, I'm going to be posting up an episode soon, and it's going to be talking about how I am trying to heal myself from, well, because of racism that has been placed on me, and hurtful, awful, terrible, bigoted, ignorant, poorly educated things have been put on me. It almost toxified my mindset, my brain, on how I see a certain demographic. The men, like, not, but like the women, hey, we still cool, we still, but they like, I have pause. I have pause. And see, and that's why it's like I feel guilty because I didn't have that pause until like over the years, like one thing after another, and then some of the more recent comments that have been told to me by the male demographic and things. So, but I'm not just gonna say stories about that demographic today. It's gonna be by different ones, but let's just say, like when it comes to the episode about the T app, it's that down, yeah. That, and as like I know some of you guys know that I've slammed the palm colored demographic so much. Our pale males, yeah, and also black guys, yeah. It's like, whoo, you already know. So it's like, and I've already stated that I will go through all of the demographics because, like, when it comes to Middle Eastern and Asian and Hispanic, yeah, I have been through racism with each one of them. And, okay, let's just start spilling some tea because first things first, it's really crazy and really funny how the Asian, Middle Eastern, and Hispanic communities all throughout the years until this year, a lot of them tell me, get over politics. Politics don't really matter. Racism is over with. Black people just try to make something out of nothing. Or they try to make something because they need an excuse on why they're failing, or why they didn't get a job, or why they didn't get what they wanted because they simply didn't deserve it. They're just not smart enough. These are the kind of things I hear from people of color. And sometimes it's insulting because some of them sound like my ex's mother, Mrs. No Heart. Whew. Because well, actually, Mrs. Masher. Yeah, Mrs. Masher. Oh, that woman. Terrible, awful, bigoted woman. And oh, okay, let me slide on to a slightly different, because even with her, it's really interesting when people tell me they have mixed kids or they've dated that demographic. Dating that demographic does not mean you're not racist. That just means you wanted some pleasure with that demographic for a few minutes. Or maybe you heard the rumors and you want to find out if it was true. Or maybe maybe they were a version of Candace Owens and you were interested in that person because they agreed with the same point as Candace Owens. Maybe one of those things. Or maybe this person is so ignorant or they self-hate themselves. Yeah, so I mean there's different reasons, but it's really frustrating to me when people say, "Oh, I have a friend. Oh, I dated. Oh, I slept with. Oh, I married. Oh, I have mixed kids with this demographic, so I can't be racist." Oh, well, some of the guys I know, they can also add, I cheated with a woman that was, yeah, because, you, like I said, with an episode I'm going to be posting soon, it's, the, I can't believe how many times, because, okay, and I already know it's probably the dating apps that lure certain demographic of these men, because I know it's not all of them. I know there's great men in all minorities and all demographics. And okay, yeah, the white guys too, but you know what, they might be off the hook with this episode, because this episode is focusing on how the African American community has gotten so much hate, terrible stereotyping. They they ignored or they pushed aside parts of our history to the point where now when they hear that there's going to be new versions of sundown towns, they're shocked and amazed. And they're just like, "What? How? Are you kidding?" It's like, "Hold up, wait. This has already been." Okay, you haven't been paying attention. And then when, okay, I am going to bring up the pale males and the pale people. The pale, like, "Oh, well, you guys should start your own cities. We would congratulate you. We would be so happy." Lies. History shows and proves you're lying. Because I have said this, like, I think, yeah, this channel is like a year and a half now. And so how many times have I even showed you links so you can look at each of the found drowned cities so far? Because they say there's more. They say there's more. There's at least 15 to 20 drowned cities around America that were black towns, black cities. But the pale males could not stand it. They hated the thought of us doing well. So they destroyed them, burned them, and eliminated people from those towns just to make sure they don't weren't doing well. Even with Black Wall Street and all that, yeah, Rosewood, yeah. So it's just really frustrating when we hear these falsehoods, but then these falsehoods, the people of color, believe the pale male's history version and not the black people's version. So now when we come to current date and now this stuff is happening, they're like, "Oh no, how did this happen? What's going on? This is crazy." And they don't see black people reacting. Yeah, you don't see black people reacting because we are repeating history. We've been talking about our history. We've been saying how this was done before, but no one really cared. No one really or they cared, but they thought as long as it was just black people. As long as it's black people, we don't care if it hurts black people. Because even with the, yeah, you know what, this channel, or not the channel, this episode's going to change a little bit because I'm going to get back to the main purpose. But these, like, a lot of the things that blacks, African Americans have been talking about over the years, we have been ignored. And or people of color was just like, as long as it's you, we don't care." And it's like, you deserve it. You're lazy. You're uneducated. You're this. You're that. Even though black women are the most highly educated demographic in this country. which is one reason I'm guessing that they're trying to change the laws to give a limit on how much you can borrow for your student loans and everything like that, because they want to limit people, especially those that are in the lower class who are not able to pay it back as quickly, so that they possibly won't be able to finish their degrees and get a career. That's just my guess. That's just my guess. But when it comes to just, yeah, different aspects of, even with our hair and trying to get the Crown Act, I've I again, Middle Eastern men. Why would you want your hair looking like that anyways? Shouldn't you be happy that companies want you to flat iron your hair? Don't you want it? Don't Aren't you happy that they want you to look presentable? It's like, why would you want to walk around with afros like that? Why would you want to walk around like a sheep? Yeah, all of the, like, I mean, and I'm not gonna lie, like, I've heard this from all different types of demographics, but especially my Middle Eastern demographic, I've heard it so much from. But then at the same time, when I had my afro out, they want to touch it. They say those awful, terrible, bigoted things, but then they want to touch it. Yeah, uh-huh. And then even with the apartheid, it's like, some people have told me, well, it's like the Middle East, like Africa has nothing on the Middle East, and they have gone through nothing. And I'm like, what about the apartheid? A lot of them don't even know what the apartheid was. Yeah. So now that we're witnessing like something similar, because like I know some people tell me that they're insulted if we call it an apartheid, so I won't call it an apartheid. I'll just call it the situation. Now that we have that situation going on over there, mm, it's and I'm for all lives. Yes, again, it's kind of funny. The Republicans used to say all lives matter because black people, we were saying black lives matter because, especially when it comes to the police brutality and like even just every situation, we were always diminished. And then, and that's not, well, it's kind of another episode for a different day, but that proves my point even more, because even while trying to date during Black Lives Matter, how many people of color said that we're making too big of a deal out of it? And but I just find it really, really interesting because, well, I know he was Asian. Okay, I'll just say he was Asian or whatever. But I remember how he was just saying, my people are smarter than you guys anyway. So it's not a big deal. Like, why are you guys doing all these protests and Black Lives Matter? And it's like, most of you guys are in the slums. And he was like, you're not. And that's one reason I really like you. You're not like those other, like, and oh my gosh, when I hear I'm not like those other, I'm like, you sound like Fox News. You sound like the people off Fox News. So yeah, that's another person I blocked. I remember I blocked him that night and everything like that. But yeah, I forgot to block him on Facebook though. So then he started writing me and telling me, you're just mad because I'm telling you the truth. We're smarter than your guys. And it's like, oh, and that's probably why you'll never be able to get a PhD either, because you're not smart enough. And it's like, oh, he was trying to go, like, and I was just like, when did I ever say I wanted a doctorate? And I'm like, maybe you can come back to me after you have a, because I was like, you don't even have a bachelor's. I think you might have an associate's, but it's like, maybe come back to me when you have a bachelor's, when you actually finish that degree. But until then, until then, yeah, I'm just gonna mind my business. But until then, yeah, mind yours. Yeah. Anyway, but it's just crazy because when it comes to how we look, how we dress, and our hair, mm, and like, I don't know. It's just sometimes I can't stand stereotyping. And it's like people try to tell me there's no more racism, especially when it comes to people of color. But then when people of color say it, but then at the same time, or like 5 minutes later, they say something racist or something just so bigoted. But then they say they can't be bigots because they're people of color. And it's like, especially with one Hispanic guy who told me that as long as I stayed this light, he would be able to introduce me to his parents, because he said that since I'm black, that might be an issue. But then he said that if I introduced them to my parents, or if I introduced my parents to his parents, that would be an issue because they would be scared that his kids would be darker. Yeah, I blocked him. I have blocked so many. And it's like, because I have had so many, well, okay, I'm going to sound like a garden hoe, but phone call one night stands. Yeah, phone calls. Like, I have gotten to the point where I'm just like, I can't even talk to these, like a lot of these men, they're mad that they're single, but part of me is just like, because some of you guys are so ignorant, awful, terrible, and just plain old bigots. Huh. And I'm not even talking about, like, some of them might have probably voted for the orange guy. I'm not sure. Because I mean, this is before the second election, and sometimes I wonder, did, like, especially when it comes to the Asian and Hispanic community. I don't get, like, yeah, some of the African American community and everything, but it's since so many African American men hate me and everything. I've only talked to a few. Yeah. And it's kind of funny when I do too. Like, when I some of them are like, "You're catfishing me," because when we start talking on the phone and stuff, they don't believe I'm black, or they think I must be catfishing them, or that it's like I must be mixed, or one of my parents must be white or whatever. And I'm like, no, my parents are not white at all. And I said the only white or person in the must be, like, all the way back from slavery, from what I recall, from what I yeah. So yeah, it's like we don't. No, no. There's no. You won't really find any vanilla in this tree hardly, especially since after slavery or whatever. So it's like, I date vanilla? Yeah, it's like, but I'm just saying, like, 'cause I don't know, when people try to, like, especially when I get the questions of, where are you really from? No, 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 where are you really, really from? So, but I just think it, like, since I'm lighter complexion, a lot of people automatically think I must be mixed, or I must have Caucasian nearby in the family tree and everything like that. But no, that's not how African American, that's not how it works. That's not how it, yeah. So, and maybe they need to start talking about or teaching that with the biology classes and everything like that. But yeah, that's not how it works. So, but anyway, when it comes to even the police, I've already told you guys my stories with police, but when I tell people of color about my situations, a lot of them tell me, well, you must have done something wrong. And but then I'm like, okay, so they pull me over, and they, with especially with the college tassel situation, they're like, oh, okay, now I know you're lying. And because when I look in their car, you see like 5, 10 of those air fresheners hanging from their mirror, and they're like, look, I never get pulled over, and look at this, you must have done something wrong. And I'm like, no, I've done nothing wrong. And like, sometimes it's really insulting and hurtful when people of color are telling me that I must be to blame for what the racism and bigotry that happened to me. And oh, and then also when I get called the N-word, when people of color then tell me, you can't be assaulted by that anymore, you guys use that word too. And but then I was like, when I don't use that word, and I don't like being called that word. And when palm colored people say that word, and it's the way that you say that word, so you can't just, like, that word is not in such a tight bubble anymore. It has different meanings within different communities, and it depends on how you say it, who you say it, and like the definition of which is coming out of, and like what the reference of the word. And I don't know, it's just kind of annoying when people try to tell, like, when I say those situations and stuff, because especially for those who tell me racism is over with, so why don't you get over it? Isn't that right, Paul? But also, when I am like, even with my novels, when people of color are telling me that my main character better not be black, and they tell me that no one's going to read my book if the character is black, and it's like, because if it, like, when pale males or when white people say that, okay, yeah, whatever. But then when it's people of color, it's just like, huh, okay, like, well, if you wrote a book and the main character is Asian or Middle Eastern or what, I don't care what the nationality is. I actually enjoy reading characters of different demographics, especially different point of views and everything like that. I love seeing, like, if they are either the superhero or the the inventor or the just the main character, period. I think it's amazing. We need more of that. And so it hurts when people of color tell me that a black person can't be the main character. And I mean, they also say that with the disability, but the focus right now is just the African American portion. And even with starting my business, I've had, I will never forget that. Like, remember? Oh, no, no. Actually, I didn't put the episode up. This is the episode that's going to go prior to this one. But there was a Middle Eastern guy who I matched on Plenty of Fish. And everything was going good until I found out he was married. Yeah, that he was married. But then I was telling him about one of my business ideas and something that I was like, I'm gonna have to, like, I was working a few jobs, and this is right before I met Mr. No Heart. Yeah. And so when I was telling him about my business ideas and I really wanted to do it, blah, blah, blah. But then I found out he was married and I was just like, ooh, no. And then he offered to turn me into a sugar baby and give me a monthly allowance or whatever. And I was just like, are you crazy? Are you serious? And I was like, I need to find your wife or whatever. But yeah, next thing I know, since he is from Dearborn, he makes a lot of money and everything like that. He decided to tell his wife about my idea, and next thing you know, she started the business herself. Yeah, and that's one reason why, like, now, like with people, I give them like a flat version of my ideas, but it's like some I've had men block me. They're like, "Oh no, tell me more about it." And I'm like, "No. No thanks. I'm good." And they're like, "Oh, so you don't trust me?" And then they block me. I'm like, "Fine, thank you." Cuz I've learned to not do that. And it's like people don't understand what I've been through. And especially people don't understand when it's like I have faced racism, I have faced sexism, I have faced men telling me that my body is just an instrument to be used, especially since I'm a black woman, I am just to be used. And okay, that's where I'm gonna go and take it now, because one reason why I am gonna be posting this episode coming up is because of how many Middle Eastern men have literally told me that I am just supposed to be used. And the amount of times where they have offered for me to be their mistress or sugar baby while they are engaged or married or whatever, or how many of them tell me that we can date until I find a wife that's good enough, or until I find a girl good enough to marry and stuff. And then when I'm like, no. He was like, well, you're single, so you have nothing else to do. And that's funny too, because I've heard that from different demographics, but especially I've heard it a lot. Like, okay, so that's what I'm gonna say. One reason I'm doing this one, because yes, I've been through it with every demographic, but it's like it was so much, especially like since I broke up with Mr. No Heart, and like trying to get back out there and date. And like I've said before, like some people are like, why don't you date black men? I've tried. I still kind of try, but I don't match with majority of them, and a lot of them hate me. And it's like, because yeah, with my list of standards, I created that list of standards that if you've been reading the screenshots are that most of them, the ones that are from dating apps, are because of my list of standards. Because I kept witnessing a lot of black men telling me I'm not black enough. And I'm probably gonna have a whole series of that with the receipts of the screenshots. And I like, if you guys have watched the T app episode, you will already see I've already posted that. Yeah, that's only some of the Dearborn screenshots that I have. I have more buried in my phone. It's like I have so many that I'm just like, oh my gosh, is this my computer's gonna be overloaded with too many screenshots? Yay! But when it comes to like dating black men, I try. But then when it comes to like, a lot of men don't like when women try to make sure that that they have backup with like independence financially. And see, I'm not gonna just say Middle Eastern men or black men, like all like Mr. No Heart. I've already said like he wanted my money, but he couldn't stand how responsible I was and how careful and how I budgeted. He couldn't stand it, but he wanted it. And when it comes to a lot of the African American men, like when I put up that like now with, because I've learned from Mr. No Heart and Mr. Lockakey, no, I need to date a guy that has some investments. I don't care if it's $50 an acorn, at least it's something. Or at least I need I need him to have something in his savings account or a bank account, because I'm tired of them. First, they tell me that I shouldn't invest, or that I'm stupid for investing, or I need to spend more money on my hair and my outfits. But then they don't have a dime to put in their gas tank or anything. So then they have their hand out for me, but So I don't know. It's just annoying and frustrating. And I'm not saying like I'm starting over. Remember, like if you guys have been listening to my episodes, I mean, I still have money saved, and that's the reason why I'm still breathing and doing okay. But yeah, I almost had enough for a down payment. Almost. I could like just touch it. It was so close. But because of my undiagnosis, because my doctors were so ignorant, terrible, awful, and probably racist. Yeah, go listen to the Dr. Villain episode. Yeah, the one doctor that told me just go home and lose weight or whatever. And then about 4 years later, I had to have surgery on the exact part of my body. I told him I was in so much pain, and he blew me off. He didn't care. He didn't even touch or test, or he did nothing. He did nothing. He just said, nothing's wrong with you. Go home and lose weight. Yeah. And so, and actually, now that I think about it, the female doctor I had before, because it's like he wasn't my primary. It's like he was like I had an ear infection, so I had to have a same day appointment because I was in so much pain. But the primary doctor I had, but I thank goodness I changed. She was actually Middle Eastern, and I remember going to her and telling her how much pain I was in. And she blew me off until like the second or third time I went to her, and I was like, I am in pain. But then she said that I can go and get the MRI. And yeah, I'm going to tell that whole story later or whatever. But because I remember even seeing, she rolled her eyes at me. Rolled her eyes, like, and part of me is just like, why don't you believe me? But at the end of the day, but at the end of the day, but at the end of the day, this is the Handy Capable Black Woman Throne Room. I am a woman, I am of color, and I am handy capable. But most importantly, I am human and you're human too.